All right, good morning, everybody. It's the All About Nothing podcast kind of daily show. I am Barrett Gruber, host of the All About Nothing podcast with Zach King. You can find me on social media at Barrett Gruber. And with me is Bill Kimler, host of Black, White, and Blue in the South with Dr. Jamil Brooks. You can follow him at Political Bill SC. It's Thursday. Don't no grief. We're recording on a Thursday. Good morning, Bill. How are you?
You and I were just chatting before you went live, and you cut me right off mid-sentence. Said, we want to take this live. And I thought, well, that's odd. I mean, we were talking about your battles with incontinence. And then you said, no, let's go live. And I said, okay, let's go live. So go ahead, pick up where you left off. Let's hear some more.
I'm just saying that I am of an age, and I know you're a little older than I am, but I am of an age where if I wake up before the alarm clock goes off.
People are expecting to hear you talk about incontinence, by the way.
If I wake up because I have to pee an hour or half an hour before the alarm clock goes off, I have a difficult time of making myself lay back down and go back to sleep, because if I do, in my head, it starts eating at me. Am I gonna hear the alarm clock? Am I gonna sleep through the alarm clock? Was there not enough rest? And you're different. You'll take that extra 15 minutes.
I have one superpower, and that's the ability to fall asleep very quickly. Like I can close my eyes and be out in a second. It's wonderful.
I do
it's a
too.
Gift.
It's that first hour or so after I fall asleep that I am in my deepest sleep, and I have the tracking app to verify that. But that's the point. But any other time, I am if I wake up to a noise, I will hear the noise. I'll wake up and I am on my feet in less than a second to potentially. And we don't live in a bad neighborhood. Like we don't, and it's one of the things that a friend of mine who's a police sheriff's deputy, he and I have talked about before, but that break-ins don't occur at night at homes that are occupied. It's virtually unheard of. Break-ins usually occur during the day. So I don't know why it is that I jump to my feet when I hear a noise. Maybe it's the kids, or, I just have, weird concerns. I don't know. What was I was going to bring something up. Oh yeah. No, we had a lot of responses to the question about which comedian.
Hey,
we had a
question of the day.
So there were a lot of responses, but they pretty much stuck to the same three. We had some outliers. John Mulaney was an outlier. Somebody, Cameron Man 03 picked John Mulaney. Louis C.K. was one that was chosen that would have made a good one. It's definitely in line with the current administration, his behavior. I disagree. I don't think that I don't think that Louis C.K.'s behavior, he didn't assault anyone. He may have offended someone, but he didn't assault anyone, and he asked permission for what he did. Robin Williams was another one that was in there several times.
Oh God. He'd be frantic. I'd love his press conferences.
Oh yeah. Well, I think one of the great things about Robin Williams is that he cares, but he would also, I think that he would fight, but he would fight with intelligence. He would fight with that quick wit. But Jon Stewart and George Carlin were the two that took the most votes. I mean,
does Jon Stewart count as stand-up? Is that what he's known for? I'm sure he's done some time up on the stage, but was that his primary profession before he went on camera, or
he was so he was a stand-up comedian, but he was also he has always sort of teetered that line between. He was always a stand-up comedian,
okay,
but he also did a lot of television. Hosting. He was on MTV. Trying to think, he was on MTV. I know that for sure because he had that remote control show, I thought. But so he's always had that sort of that TV presence as well as being a comedian. Big news yesterday broke. Actually, several things sort of broke the news cycle yesterday. Wall Street Journal reported that Pam Bondi went to Donald Trump back in May and told him personally that he was in the Epstein files, to which I can only imagine his surprise.
This is where I guess I get a little confused. Didn't everybody already know he was in the Epstein files? I mean, I'm sure this wasn't just conjecture on everybody's parts. I thought that there have actually been evidence of logs and other things that means he was in the files.
There were flight
logs. How is this? So
Yeah, there
how is
were.
this breaking news? Like,
The fact that so for well, I think that it's breaking. I think the reason that it was breaking news yesterday was partially because there have been so many I guess so many people that have denied that Donald Trump would be in the Epstein logs. Donald Trump has denied being as close to Jeffrey Epstein as he was, or I guess that's still conjecture. We have picture evidence, we have video evidence, we have letters between, or at least birthday cards to him where he doodled a naked woman into a birthday card. But I think that we are until there is until there is actual legal documentation, which now, if what Wall Street Journal is reporting is true, Pam Bondi went to Donald Trump and said, because she said she had truckloads of evidence, truckloads of the files from the Epstein, you know, investigation, and that Donald
what's
Trump
the
apparently
name of
admitted.
that guy or that organization that does all the hidden camera gotchas against liberals? You know what I'm talking about?
I was gonna say the
It's on
guy
the,
from Dateline, but that's
no,
not who
no,
you're
no, no,
talking
no. This
about.
is just some dumb organization. It's the guy who always has a hidden camera, and then he always ends up interviewing some professor or somebody else and gets them to admit something really
Oh, you're
shocking,
talking
and
about
then he
Charlie Kirk?
no, but it's a Charlie Kirk type of person.
Oh,
It's not Charlie Kirk directly. The name will come to me because it's on the tip of my tongue.
yeah.
But anyhow, he actually had a hidden camera talking to Pam Bondi. And Pam Bondi was saying that she's got access to thousands of names who have been in these files. And, she's going to, and this was early on, this was like in February of this year. And he went and released, because he's big on the Epstein files deal, as is much of the extreme QAnon, extreme MAGA group. And he actually released the video showing Pam Bondi admitting that she actually had all this information and she couldn't wait to release it. Now, this may have been before she got to Trump's name. I don't remember, but he was pissed, as are many of the Trump diehard supporters from day one who bought into Pizzagate and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They're mad as hell. And the fact that now Pam Bondi has been secretly recorded and her videos released, there's something flipping in the audience out there. I'm not sure what.
Someone in the comments said James O'Keefe.
That's it.
James
That's it.
O'Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. Commenter. Was that your
Thank
mother?
you. No, my
Oh.
mainlandia. So
All right.
appreciate that.
That's the name. That's exactly who it
Yeah,
is.
I know who you're talking about now. Yeah. I so also yesterday, Mike Johnson dismissed Congress early for the rest of the summer, all the way into September. And I have a friend that works for the New York Times that has said that the reason is because he knew that the Wall Street Journal report was coming out, the story from the Wall Street Journal was coming out, and 11 Republicans in the House had already joined with Democrats in a committee to vote to subpoena the Department of Justice for the Epstein files.
We actually had a local representative as part of
Yeah.
that group who joined the Democrats. You remember who?
Nancy Mace.
Shocking.
Well, it's not shock. So yes, I am shocked by it, but I think that it also it plays to who she is, because ultimately in the end she's just looking for attention, and to be in that group, she's kind of fallen. It feels like she's kind of fallen outside of the Trump sphere. She's not. Same with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene is, you're seeing more and more interviews where she is not necessarily sidelining with Trump on things like the Epstein files. She's not sidelining with him on the use of military spending in Israel, things like that. You see, and I don't understand what their motivation is behind that, because ultimately, is it going to be 6 months from now where they jump back on board the Trump train and they're full on, they're completely forgetting the fact that they weren't necessarily directly behind him during.
Well, the
this
sad thing
period
is
of
that
time.
you're sitting there worrying about motivation of those individuals.
Yeah,
Those are
that's true.
individuals who are just so bizarre, over the top, Jewish space lasers.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there wondering what their motivation is. You don't look at your dog and wonder what is his motivation. You're just brainless buzzing inside those ears.
It's unfair. I feel abused. Being honest, I feel like I'm being abused with with all of the back and forth. But yeah, how is it that the Speaker of the House? And I understand the rules. I understand that is within his purview to dismiss Congress whenever he feels like it. Uh, but this is a guy who
Trump must
claims,
have something on him. He
oh
must have, like, this is clean, squeaky, evangelical Mike Johnson,
yeah,
who has his son and him, monitor each other's porn usage. And I'm betting Trump's got some dirt, because I've
well,
never seen anybody cower to an individual's needs like this so much. I mean, to
it's
dismiss Congress. Think about
yeah.
that. He said, let's
Before,
go.
like they have a there's a bill that I think the Senate is currently working on that is going to that is it is they call it, I guess, a recess bill or something like that, where
Recession. Yeah.
recession, yeah. So they go in and they make they're making changes to the one big beautiful bill that's already passed. And obviously what they're doing is they smell the stink of the one big beautiful bill, and they are working on trying to adjust some of those things. So the Senate is working on that right now, but they don't have anything that they can pass it on to if the House is out of session. So I it, it's such an awkward situation, because like there are members in the House that legitimately, even Republicans, that want to make some changes to that bill because of just how detrimental it's going to be to their own districts. And now Mike Johnson, out of likely protecting the president from this possible subpoena of the Epstein files, has decided that he is just going to dismiss Congress. And but it doesn't change anything. I mean, likelihood is they're not going to pass a bill before September, or before they went into recess anyhow. But the the it's just dumbfounding to me how we are in this situation with these people as the people that have been elected and are leading the country. And I don't understand. This is one of those things that just racks my brain, is how Mike Johnson can make the decision to dismiss Congress, and everyone that supports him evangelically or politically or whatever, they look at that and they go, well, he had to, because the liberals are coming out. Liberals think that they've got information um, that's going to make the president look bad. I don't think the president
Well, and
needs
just
any
think about
help.
it. You are in the majority party, and you
Yeah,
called summer vacation early
yeah.
because you're scared of the minority.
What a weak
Think about
move.
that.
It is. I anyone, if
I
you're
thought he had the greatest mandate in the history of America,
yeah,
right? Didn't he have the greatest mandate? And now he's scared.
he
He's
won the
scared and
presidency
says, we're
with,
going to go home, take our toys and go home.
I don't, how many presidents do you think in history have ever won the election with less than 50% of the vote?
Hmm. Well,
49,
you had
49.
George Bush Jr.,
Well, that's true. Yeah.
you had Donald Trump.
I one of the things, I did not get to talk to Dr. Orkin last night on the episode that comes out in August.
All right, I don't know who Dr. Orkin is.
Dr. Orkin is who we interviewed for
All right.
episode 266. That'll be out August 4th. But he is a statistician. He is a mathematician. He was a professor at Cal State or Caltech Berkeley, or UC Berkeley, where but he wrote a book that came out that we talked about on the show. And I did not get an opportunity to ask him about all of the recent data, statistic information about the most recent election, with just some of the very significant things that are starting to pop up, and the legitimacy of any of that data, and has he followed any of it. But I continue to see lots and lots of videos with interviews from a very specific organization. In fact, I've actually reached out to them as well, because I'd like to see if I can get them on the show. Let me pull that up. It is this makes for very interesting radio, where I am going the election truth alliance. So they have had individuals going on, like the Christopher Titus show, and they've gone on several other podcasts that I've seen, and basically just displaying how there seems to be in a major majority number of counties and districts across the country where at some point, once the vote totals got to a certain count during the day,
you got to be careful here. Don't you need to start to talk in code at a certain point?
I don't
before you trigger. Okay, you don't care. Okay, I was gonna say.
Yeah, but at some point you saw votes being flipped. You saw, I mean, the fact that this was the first election in modern recorded history where we saw we didn't see a single district flip from red to blue, but we saw every district that we saw flip was from blue to red. We saw down ballot Democrats being elected to statewide positions where Kamala Harris in a district received 0 votes. It's an oddity, and it strikes as something that doesn't make any sense. There weren't so many disenfranchised Democratic voters that were just like, I'm going to go through the effort of voting for every Democrat on the ballot except for the presidential one.
All right. So then I would ask, let's take that second example, because I saw the same thing. The county where this was in New York, Senator Kristen Gillibrand, however you pronounce it.
Yeah.
She won, Democratic U.S. Senator from New York. She won in a county by a lot.
Yeah.
And Kamala Harris got 0 votes. Right. So that right there makes 0 sense whatsoever. Don't you think that would have made headline news or have been thoroughly investigated by officials or lawsuits filed? I mean, that seems so open and shut if that legitimately happened. And I'm not saying it didn't, because I haven't looked up the numbers myself. I've just seen the same TikTok videos you have. But why hasn't that open and shut type of example made the national headlines or been brought to court in a very public fashion?
Well, okay. So the court part, I think, is pretty easily passable in the sense that I think that the likelihood is because in 2020 the election was stolen. I mean, that is all the Republicans, that's all MAGA talked about for the last 4 years. They're still talking about it now. Like, this is something that they cannot let go, was that the 2020 election was stolen from Donald Trump.
But if they had an example where a Republican senator got all the votes and Donald Trump got 0, to me, that would be open and shut. Yeah. I mean, they make the claim, they researched it. All you got to do is find one voter in that district who will swear in a court of law that they voted for that president. And that should blow the case wide open. It should be the easiest thing to find in the world.
Yeah.
And had the Republicans been able to find one example of that, well, shit, I would have been on board with them too.
Yeah. No.
So I got to ask, where's the Democrats on this one? Did it really happen?
I suspect that there is such a whiplash effect to what happened with 2020, and the fact that part of what that right-wing media that was on board with the election being stolen and then having to go through the lawsuits they did. I mean, Fox News had to pay out 3/4, or is going to, over the course of the next 20 years, pay out $750 million because they allowed and they pushed for their correspondents and their anchors to say that there was
I'm not. So I get your argument is that they're just being overly cautious because of how far the right went in their election fraud claims. But we're not talking about making accusations against Dominion. We're not talking about Rudy Giuliani standing in front of a landscaping business making claims. If that is true, 0 votes for Kamala Harris in a county or district where Kristen Gillibrand got all the votes in the world. All right, find one voter who will testify they voted for Kamala, and then that's a done deal. There's no aspersions. There's no lawsuits. There's no. It's open and shut. I don't get where the holdup is. If that truly happened.
So a part of what happens in a normal election process, and you work the election polls, is that when you have an election that is close, in a lot of states, it will actually trigger an automatic recount. Every single state across the country, not a single state had an automatic recount. Every single state certified their elections because the numbers as far as what Donald Trump won by in the states that he did, they were past that line. So there were no recounts, which automatically would have spurred some sort of type of conversation. But however it is that this happened, the intelligent part of what they did, or how I'm simply operating on the side that is of the mindset that this was legitimately, there was data that was corrupted, but it's outside the margin of the recount, which means that there were no hand recounts, that we allowed for the first time in election history of this country, we allowed for the computer-based counting.
All right, I'm not buying this argument, man. You're
I'm just
really
saying.
straight. Put it this way: if you're in Lexington County,
Yeah,
and you voted for Kamala Harris, I assume you don't have to share, but I'm going to go out on a limb saying that you pulled the lever for her instead of for Donald Trump.
it was the
And
only
if the results
person on the. Yeah.
if the results came out that Lexington County cast 0 votes for Kamala Harris, all right, what you are entitled to do is to file a lawsuit. Would you not have done so, knowing your vote didn't count?
100%.
Right. So why didn't that happen in this county then?
Yeah.
All right. So forget automatic recalls or automatic recounts or any of that computer stuff. I'm saying you've got real people who voted a certain way.
Well, and we've seen evidence. There are people that have gone onto their local news channels, and they've talked to some of the reporters and said, I voted for Kamala Harris.
Not in this county. I haven't seen that.
Well, yeah, I haven't seen that either. It doesn't, that you're right. That is the part that doesn't make sense. There is virtually no reporting of that happening in the county that we've seen documented, that you can pull up the evidence and see there were no votes for Kamala Harris where Kirsten Gillibrand won her election.
We're gonna have to redo this show and pronounce her name right.
Gillibrand.
I am
Kirsten,
just stumbling.
Kirsten.
I don't know if it's Kristen or Kirsten. I don't know if it's Gillibrand or Gillibrand. Man, I'm doing a disservice to a U.S. senator, and that's not fair. But
I'm gonna have to
she's
use
up in New
AI
York.
to go in and fix it. That's what I'll do. I'll use AI to go in and fix it before I publish.
Thanks.
it.
I got another question for you regarding that interview you did. Have you ever paid a guest to be on your show or offered any type of compensation? I'm just asking podcaster to podcaster here.
No.
Or do they always show up for free?
So they either show up for free or we've been paid.
Oh, I've never gotten that. You've been paid.
So and that's because there is a firm there's a marketing firm out of Camden that has gotten us. We have partnered with them for some guests, and they brought those guests on, and
so that explains Bill Fry. His parents must have paid you to put him on the show with you. I'm kidding, Bill.
Yeah. Fry hasn't been on in the last few weeks either, so but it's his doing. It's his doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
Could somebody pay $100 to the All About Nothing podcast and become a co-host for an episode?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
We would, and we would run that. We would run that episode. Just
you little podcast whore.
100%. But the question about paying for a guest, I have had guests in the past where the request has been that in order to get them on the show. Good morning, Batty. I don't know. Morning. There have been requests. So what's her? Oh gosh. She's like an alternative folk singer from the 90s.
Alanis Morissette.
Close, in the same time frame.
Okay.
Lisa Loeb.
Lisa Loeb.
Yeah. So Lisa Loeb and I follow each other on Twitter, and I still have a Twitter account. I just don't actively use it. But I knew I had met and been in the studio with Lisa Loeb back in like 96, 95. And so we aren't close, but we have stayed sort of connected. So she's always there. And when I started doing the podcast, I had messaged her about potentially coming on the show, and she directed me to that any appearances would have to go through her management group. and that when I contacted the management group, there is a fee to have her on. So it's kind of like, like the Tonight Show or Jimmy Kimmel pays like $700 for one of their guests to come on there. It's one of those things about celebrities. Now we're gonna have Kristen. We're gonna have the woman that is the voice of Minnie Mouse on episode coming up before the Soda City Comic Con. That is not one that we paid for. It's also not one that they paid us for, but she's,
Right.
She's been Minnie Mouse for 30 years. And that's, I don't know anyone whose kids won't recognize her voice. So
now,
I've gotten some
emails recently to our podcast account from a marketing firm where a person, they want to get an author onto our show.
Yeah.
But it's a extreme right-wing author when you look at the books, right? And this person's persistent. It says, love your show. And sometimes they even provide specifics to prove that they've listened to our show, or maybe they pulled up a show notes and just copied, pasted something out of there.
Yeah.
But they're trying to get a right-wing author on. Now, I'm not that interested in that. We don't claim to be, open to all opinions on our show. We have our certain viewpoints, and I'm not interested in a right-wing author peddling their book on our show, but it seems weird that they would reach out to us to try to get their author on.
So I get those emails as well.
Okay.
I get those emails. Ami actually has an author that she's going to be recording with, I think in September, of someone who reached out through marketing, not specifically a right-wing.
Okay. I was going to say, me,
but I
betrayed us.
I get those guest requests too. And I do engage with them. I would absolutely have a right-wing. Like I don't care how far to the right they are, as long as, it's controlled and it's not getting into like a shouting match, or they've come on the show to talk about, like, national Christian nationalism and stuff like that. I'm willing to have a conversation, or at least be able to ask questions of each other and to have a good conversation, and maybe see why that thought process has swung so far outside of the norm. Or why they hate me for having the opinions that I have. Like, I'm perfectly willing to have that conversation, but for the most part, when I give them the rules, they never respond.
What rules do you give?
That it has to be a controlled conversation, that there has to be an understanding that if I ask a question, the question get answered. If they ask a question, I will answer the question, but it's not just going to be a shouting match. It's not going to be that if I hear something, or if something is said to me that is completely false, that I know, I'm not going to allow for just completely false information to be portrayed or to be published on the podcast.
So let me understand this. You respond back saying, we won't allow false information on our show, and then they never respond.
That is correct.
Huh.
3 times I've gotten, it's been 3 times over the course of the last year and a half.
Because I'm constantly getting harassed, sometimes by the same individual, and not harassed, but hey, just following up, or hey, did you get my note from last month? We really want to come on your show. And I've been loath to respond or engage. and some of it's my personality too, because we try to keep it lighthearted as well as informative, but I might get irate, and outraged. And I don't think that would make for as necessarily an entertaining show.
Well, and I don't disagree. I think that anything that takes away from the essence of the program is not good for it.
Yeah.
If it turns into just an argument and a shouting match, like I see plenty of TikTok videos and YouTube videos where a left-wing person is sitting in a room of MAGA, and they have 3 minutes where they get to have basically a shouting match at each other. And I'm intrigued by what it is they're doing, but it's not enough for me to sit there and watch the whole back and forth.
Like, if you had a chance to have Nancy Mace on your show, would you accept that opportunity?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I wouldn't. I would not, because I've seen her on enough shows to know she doesn't answer the questions asked of her. You don't get thoughtful, intelligent responses. You say, hey, Nancy, we've got this picture of you wrestling a pig in the nude. And then she will somehow say Obama and Biden
Right.
we're guilty of conspiracy. She'll
Yeah.
just completely deflect it. You're not going to have a real conversation with her. So I would not waste my time having her on.
Yeah. No, I would at least so I would still attempt to give the benefit of the doubt that I could ask questions that would be answered intelligently. I
Mm,
know that the likelihood is that it's not, but those would make for some great fucking shorts. So
yeah, true. Final question then. Would you like to have a celebrity on your show, internationally known celebrity who's a dull interview, or a complete unknown who's a very interesting interview?
I would rather have the complete unknown interesting interview.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
100%.
agree.
I,
Because
I,
I see Jamie Harrison's got a new podcast out. Have you
yeah,
seen that? Right?
yeah.
I almost feel insulted. I'm like, dude, you're infringing on my territory here. Like this is my world. What are you doing jumping in? But then he gets, Tim Walz, and then he gets
Of
Hunter
course.
Biden, on his show. I haven't listened to either, to be honest with you.
I did listen to the Hunter Biden. I
Was
did
it any
listen to
good?
that. I mean, Hunter Biden was good. I don't as much as I appreciate Jamie Harrison for running in 2022 against Lindsey Graham. I thought that he ran a good campaign. I thought that it was a good campaign, but that immediately shot him up into national politics and being recognized, and then became the DNC chair. As the DNC chair, I think it was a dud. I feel like Jamie Harrison as the DNC chair was not motivational for the Democrats. It was just more of the same, and I think that the Democrats need someone to shake it up. But
So who's the current Democratic, the DNC chair? Name him.
oh, it's the old guy with the short hair.
See,
I
guess we
know
have.
David Hogue is the third chair.
No, he's not.
Is he second chair? What is he? He's the
No,
second chair.
he's not on
Is
anymore.
he out? Oh, he's
Yes,
out.
that was a month ago.
Well,
welcome to July. Yeah,
and
he's out.
Just to express how boring I think that the Democrats at a national level are as far as their committee, I didn't know. So
they should have. I mean, truly, to your point, they should have gotten Cardi B to be the new DNC chair.
Or Beyonce.
Well, the Beyonce wouldn't have been as entertaining. She's talented, but Cardi B is entertaining.
You need some. You want the WAP out there? Is that
yes.
that hers? Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I guess on.
That was you saying it, not me.
Whatever. It's my show. It's I will take the hit for potentially whatever. But I appreciate having an LLC just in case. I guess that's going to wrap it up for a Thursday. Bill, thank you very much. Big thanks for everybody tuning in. Don't forget, you can follow me at Barrett Gruber and Bill at Political Bill SC. You can catch us live every Tuesday and Thursday at 5:30 a.m. Eastern, because we do this to entertain ourselves.
I've restarted recording some short videos. I had been in a habit of watching state legislation videos and then cutting some small clips, commenting or pointing out some interesting things that I've seen in these committee hearings.
Yeah.
I started that back up a couple of days ago. It feels good to be back in it. I hadn't done that since May. May, I think, was my last one. So I took, or even April, I think, was my last one. So it felt good to be back in the saddle. I've already got some golden clips. I caught Superintendent of Education Ellen Weaver in a lie in answering a question asked of her by a state legislator. So it's fun because people don't pay attention to this stuff, and I think this stuff is where the good shit is.
I will. So, I also just to let you know, I have had multiple people tell me that they agree that Superman, while it was a fun movie, was there have been several comments that Superman was a fun movie, but that Superman also was not as entertaining to them as they're giving pretty much the same kind of feeling to it, despite the reviews, despite the fact that it's been number one for the past 2 weekends. But I think it's partially because it's up against Smurfs. So
now Smurfs, let me tell you, that was an emotional roller coaster.
What an exciting
I was
ride.
Crying during that film. I was laughing. If that doesn't get an Academy Award this year, I don't know what's going on. And The Fix is in.
Until next time, you all stay safe, be kind, keep your hands to yourself. And I want to quote the president. Try and make every day another wonderful secret. That was what he wrote at the end of the greeting card for Jeffrey Epstein.
That's right. The greeting card. I was like, I don't remember him saying that, but that was his greeting card. Yes.
And may every day be another wonderful secret. So weird signature to put on a greeting card. I mean, not, if you didn't know the context, but yeah. So weird.
See you next Tuesday.